my name is Amanda Dillard, and this is my submission for In Conversation about self-esteem and social media. So I wanted to start by mentioning that there was that study that had gone around, I think it was like a couple of years ago, and it talked about that there was a correlation they found between increased time on social media sites like Facebook, and it correlated with having a lower self-esteem in that person. Does anybody have any thoughts why that may be?
Yeah, actually, I remember seeing that study as well. And what I see, and being from an older generation long before the social media came about, what I see on digital media now is that people will get on there and they have, say Facebook, they have 1,000, 4,000 friends, and so many people saying they like this. On Twitter, they've got so many followers, and it becomes almost like a competition. Everybody's looking at it like, oh, well, I have so many friends, and I have so many followers, and then you look at somebody else and they've got so many more. I don't have a lot of friends on Facebook, so does that make me a less friendly person? Or does it just mean I'm older from a different generation? But when you look on it, you can see, because nowadays people really seem to judge themselves. I hear it on the radio, I hear it in conversations. I have so many followers. Oh, I put this online, I have so many likes. They're judging themselves based upon what the digital media and other people are liking. And really, in my opinion, they should be judging themselves on the actual face-to-face relationships that they have.
Yeah, I agree on that, and that actually touches on the next point, and that's about the value on social judgment, and that now there's more value placed on your online social judgment. Do people like the online version of yourself? Is that more important than the real you, the life that you actually live?
Well, I would argue does your social self have to be a different you than your real you? Does this give you an avenue of being able to be yourself in an open space without a direct, one-on-one with anybody, where you can influence what you're saying, what you might expect them to think or feel about it?
Yeah, I think it's usually where people are themselves, but maybe it's like more exaggerated. And actually, one of the first things I thought that seems to me, you guys might disagree, that is the most prevalent, that I think people tend to exaggerate. It's the slacktivism, where they, oh, look at me, I really care about homelessness, and they like and they share every little fact on homelessness, but what have they actually gone and done about it? And I think it's a lot of perception. Like, yeah, they do care about it, but then they get all the likes and maybe there's no follow through. And I mean, that's personally something that's bugged me the most, is if you care about it enough in person, then you should kind of be following through on it, and that doesn't really happen.
I think a great thing about that too is also, if you can look back to like the ice bucket challenge. Everyone was so quick to dump water on their head, but I mean, I don't actually know anybody personally who actually donated anything. I mean, I think a lot of people said they did, but I think a lot of it was just more the show of dumping water on somebody's head.
Yeah.
I agree, and I think that's part of where it affects your self-worth, because on the internet, there is a definite lack of commitment. You can say, hey, look at me, but when you're face-to-face with somebody, you can make a real connection, and you can make a commitment. When I look at him and I say, okay, I'm going to meet you, and we're going to do this, or we're going to make a deal, we shake a hand, there's a commitment, there's a personal commitment there.
Yeah.
Now it's more like we're just committing to hit a stroke on a keyboard.
Right.
Yeah, maybe on the event invite.
Yeah, and it seems like there are more and more people who are doing it just to be noticed, because it's for their self-worth.
Yeah.
As opposed to actually going out and doing something good, or making that friend and helping that person, which is where real self-worth comes from.
Yeah. Well, I also just want to bring up a different point of view, just from my own experience, because I primarily focus my time on Twitter, and even more so than Facebook. That's where I spend a lot of my time. And I think the difference, when they say social media, I think a lot of it gets placed on Facebook, because that's where you're expected to really be yourself and show all your different likes and what you're doing. On Twitter, maybe some people do that, but for me and my group, what we really do is we really aren't ourselves on purpose. And we practice telling jokes and being humorous and, you know, just saying something that makes other people laugh. And half the time it doesn't really matter if it, you know, gets a whole lot of likes or not. And actually, I found that doing that version of Twitter has actually kind of increased my self-esteem, because I feel like I can be a little weird and people will, I feel accepted a little bit. And I realize that it's not, you know, I meet people on there and they aren't the people that they necessarily portray, but it's not in a negative thing. It's like, oh, you're telling this joke. Clearly that didn't ever happen, but it's funny, and it's a way to exercise that. So
Right.
just something else to kind of consider with social media. So, any last thoughts, you guys?
Is it, the question I have is it social media itself that's doing it, or is it just a tool that makes more of what it already is? You can get more from what you do on Twitter, or you can get more, you know, an ability to get, you know, your esteem points from it. Is it,
Right.
what is it, does social media itself do, or is it just a tool?
Is it just a tool? Oh, that's a good question, but I don't know if we have enough time to talk about that. But I really do think that's a good point. I really do. But anyways, so I'd like to thank you guys for being a part of that discussion, and I believe that's it.